What's the worst thing your kid's school ever did? When my daughter Emma came home from school that day, I knew something was wrong. She usually burst through the door talking a mile a minute about her friends, but this time she was quiet, holding her arm close to her side. Her face looked pale, like she was trying not to cry. "Sweetheart, what happened?" I asked, setting down my phone. She hesitated for a second before whispering, "I fell at recess." That didn't sound unusual. She's an energetic 9-year-old who's always climbing or running somewhere, but the way she was clutching her arm made my stomach twist. When I tried to help her take off her backpack, she winced and tears started rolling down her cheeks. I looked at her arm and my heart dropped. Her wrist was already swollen, the skin puffy and turning purple. I asked if she'd gone to the nurse. She nodded, then shook her head. "Mrs. Parker said I was fine," she muttered. "She said I just wanted attention." Apparently, Emma had been playing tag on the playground and tripped over a jump rope. She landed hard on her wrist and started crying. But when she told the teacher on duty that it really hurt, the teacher rolled her eyes and told her to stop being dramatic. When she kept crying, they told her she was ruining recess for everyone else and made her sit quietly until the bell rang. Then, instead of sending her to the nurse, they made her carry her backpack and finish the whole school day, including gym class, where they played kickball. She said she couldn't even hold the ball, but the PE teacher told her to at least try. By the time I saw her, the damage was obvious. I took photos of her wrist and drove straight to the emergency room. The x-rays showed 2 small fractures. The doctor asked how it happened, and when I told him she'd been forced to use it all day, he sighed and said, "This could have been a simple break, but keeping it moving like that made it worse." He wrote a detailed report for the school, noting that the injury had worsened from continued strain and lack of medical attention. He even said that if we'd waited longer, the bone could have healed crooked. The next morning, I marched into the principal's office with Emma's x-rays, the doctor's report, and my phone full of photos. I placed everything neatly on his desk and said, as calmly as I could, "Explain to me how a group of trained adults decided they knew better than a child who said she was in pain." The principal looked stunned. He apologized, but I could tell it was the kind of apology people give when they're hoping you'll calm down and go away. So I kept going. I told him I expected the school to cover every cent of the medical bill, and I wanted to know what they planned to do so this wouldn't happen again. He promised to review the situation, which I'd heard before, but this time I wasn't leaving it there. I sent the report to the school board, attached all the photos, and included the doctor's statement. Within a week, I got a call back. The district ordered a full review of their injury protocols. Turns out they didn't even have a clear rule for when students could call home after getting hurt. It was up to the teacher's discretion. That word made me furious. Since when is compassion optional? After a few tense meetings, they finally sent out a notice to all parents. Starting immediately, any student who reports being injured, no matter how small, must be sent to the nurse and allowed to call home. They also retrained all staff on handling student injuries and emergency situations. A month later, I stopped by school to drop off some papers for Emma. Right outside the nurse's office, there was a big new poster hanging on the wall. In bright blue letters, it said, "Better safe than sorry. If a student says they're hurt, we listen." It made me pause for a moment. It shouldn't have taken my daughter breaking her wrist for them to figure that out, but at least something changed. When I showed Emma the sign a few days later, she smiled a little. "Maybe now they'll believe the next kid," she said. That hit me harder than anything, because she shouldn't have had to learn that sometimes adults don't believe kids, especially the ones they're supposed to protect. So yeah, that's the worst thing my kid's school ever did. They made her prove she was hurt before they decided to care.